my friend Sarah and I just finished doing a hike in the Catskill Mountains in New York. We did two mountains, and it was about 10 miles and about 2,500 feet of gain. Definitely not one of the most difficult hikes that we've ever done. But what we did is we challenged ourselves purposely more on the hike. See, each of us have, both of us have some really big hiking goals. And so we wanted to challenge ourselves a bit. And so we set goals for ourselves and said, okay, we want to get down by this time. And then we saw, all right, we could actually do it sooner. So we picked up our pace even more. And then we're like, oh boy, we can get done even sooner. And so we picked up the pace a little more. And of course we were, being safe and not, pushing to a point where we'd be more likely to get injured. Because of course we don't want to hurt ourselves for some of the big goals we're working toward. But I like it. I enjoyed, each time today that we pushed ourselves harder to reach a goal. And I always like it when we do that or I do it on my own. And I've really enjoyed, hiking for so many reasons. But one reason is for the ways that it pushes me. And, hiking doesn't just push me physically, it pushes me mentally. So today, the trails we were doing were really rocky, and my feet were hurting, and my knees are hurting, and I'm tired, and but we kept going, even though it was hard. And in the early stages of hiking, that was critical for me, and it's why hiking has been so critical in my healing journey, because it showed me time and time again that I can do hard things and that I'm stronger than I realize. And even when I think something is too hard for me, I prove to myself over and over that I can handle hard things that I thought I never could. And the more that I saw that I could push myself physically and mentally in the mountains, the more I realized that I'm strong in other aspects of my life. And the more I started to see that my traumas have pushed me to, in many ways, my breaking point. And there's times that I'm in the mountains and I want to cry because I hurt so bad. I'm tired and there's miles left to go. And I keep going because I have no choice. And there's been many times that my traumas have pushed me to my breaking point, that I thought I couldn't go any further and I didn't have any more in me. But I kept going. And it's why goal setting has been so critical in my healing journey. It's why I dedicated a chapter to goal setting in my first book, and dedicated my entire second book is all based on goal setting, because it's been that critical in my healing journey. In the mountains, I started hiking when I was morbidly obese. I was 222 pounds, and I had high cholesterol and sleep apnea before the age of 30. So every little hill I climbed felt as big as Mount Everest. And so everything I did was hard. But each time I did something hard and I made it, even though it was hard, it proved to me that I can do the same with my trauma healing. That even though it's hard and at times I don't think I'm going to make it and it's not worth fighting the fight, and I just wanted to give up, hiking proved to me over and over again that I can make it through hard things, and all hard things come to an end. And so today, after pushing ourselves, and I'm a little tired and parts of my body hurt, but here I'm sitting and there's a beautiful breeze, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and in many ways the hard part is over, and now I'm just enjoying the beauty all around me, and that's what I've found it's like in the trauma healing journey some parts are hard and I want to give up and I just don't think I'm going to make it. And then the hard, things start to get easier. It's not like our trauma never stops affecting us. It always affects us in some way, but it gets easier over time. And in our trauma healing journey, as we progress through the stages, it gets easier to focus on the beauty all around us. And it's why I keep coming back to the mountains. I rarely miss a weekend hiking. I usually hike at least once a week on a weekend, and I've been doing it for years. And it's because it's so therapeutic to me, and it's been so critical to me in my healing journey. And, when I was hiking, when I was morbidly obese, to go back to the goal setting part, I'd set little milestones for myself. I'd say, okay, I want to get to this trail junction by this time, or I want to make it to, I'm tired and I want to stop, but I'm going to make it to that tree without stopping. So I'd set little goals for myself. And each time I met a goal, I'd set another goal, and then I'd achieve that one. And I saw I could do the same thing in my life. And so, in my trauma healing journey, I didn't go straight to finishing my PhD and traveling all around the world and climbing huge mountains. I didn't start with those big steps. I started with small steps, like brushing my teeth and bathing each day, because, I wasn't doing that for a while, and then it became, exercising and moving and not sleeping with strange men and, getting a job and all these things, like all of these different stages of my healing journey, I broke them up into different parts. I chunked it down and I said, okay, what's the next important step in moving forward, and what's something I can do to make progress toward that one goal today? And it took me time to get down to a healthy weight. Now I'm a healthy weight. There's still, a little more weight I'd like to lose, but I'm considered a healthy weight now, and it took me years to get to this point and to maintain a healthy weight. So it didn't happen overnight. My, climbing some of the biggest mountains of the world didn't happen overnight, and finishing my PhD didn't happen overnight, and writing my books didn't happen overnight. But what I did is broke it down into manageable, bite-sized pieces, and each little win gave me confidence that I could succeed in the next step. And each time I come to the mountains, it proves to me over and over that process works. So my friend Sarah and I were hiking buddies, and so we like to do that together. We'll say, okay, we want to get here by this time. And we don't do it with every hike, but we do it particularly if we're getting closer to a big, hike that we've been planning on and working toward. We start pushing ourselves a little harder and setting goals, and we break it down. We break if a hike is 10 miles, we break it down into stages and set little goals for the whole hike, and each little win makes us more confident that we're going to achieve our bigger goal. And so, depending on where you're at in your healing journey, you may not know where to start. But if you are at a loss of what place in your life you need to start, making progress with and chunking down, your steps, I think the health aspect of your life is the most important part to start with. And just pick one part of your health. Our health has so many facets. We have the physical aspect of our health. We have sleep, we have emotional health, we have our diet. There's all different components. And so I encourage you because we're not going to be able to do well in life if we don't feel well. And trauma leaves us with an inability to cope. And so in order to reclaim control after trauma, we have to reclaim our ability to cope. And so that involves self-care, which involves our health, category of life. And And so I encourage you to start there. I think there's some people coming on the trail. I picked a little place on the trail to stop, and so people might come by. And so I encourage you to pick, one area of your health: sleep, your liquid intake. I got a bug on my neck and just bit me. Your sleep, level of exercise, whatever it may be. Pick one thing to start working on today. And what can you do to make progress forward? And that's really what the trauma healing journey is about, is about separating ourselves from our unchangeable past and being able to say that this is now and that was then. And I'm just going to tell them, just recording a little video, so don't mind me.
Sorry, I just yelled in it.
Well, that's all right. I warned him. I said, people are coming, so so thank you. Have a good day. Part of the beauty of being out here in the mountains are the people. You get surrounded by like-minded people, and there's lots of opportunity for smiling out in the mountains, and one is the people. Sometimes we wish for solitude out in nature, but sometimes it's nice to be met with a smile on the trails and a good word. And so back to the goal setting process. Sorry, I'm moving a little bit. Start with one thing today. What's one thing that you can do to improve your life today? And don't tackle it all. If you see room for improvement in your sleep and in your exercise and in your diet, do not try to tackle them all. Pick one facet that you feel is manageable. When I was in the deepest depths of my depression after my significant other passed away, I wasn't working consistently. I wasn't leaving the house for days. I wasn't bathing for days. And, I just couldn't. Yeah, I needed to be able to pay the bills, but I couldn't go just to finding a job. I couldn't start there. It was too big of a step. In order to find a job, I needed to, be bathing again and brushing my teeth and cleaning myself. Like, these things needed to be done before I could find a job. And so I started with some of the smallest steps that I could. But I don't want to make it appear that the smallest steps are the easiest. Some of those smallest steps were the hardest for me because I didn't feel deserving. I didn't feel deserving of even basic forms of self-care. And, people often misunderstand. They think they need to wait to practice self-care until they feel worthy, until they feel deserving. But that's not how it works. You have to practice when you don't feel deserving and worthy, so you will begin to feel deserving and worthy. And that's what happened to me. Even though I didn't feel that I was worthy of brushing my teeth and bathing, I felt that I was only deserving of living in filth. That's where I was at in my life. And so it was hard for me to practice these forms of self-care because I just didn't feel it was worth it and that I deserved it. But I had to do it anyways, and that's why starting small was really important. And so if you're struggling with where to start, find one thing that will be important in getting you out of the place that you're in, but it has to be manageable. Even though it will push you, it has to be something that you will do. And so what I did is I set little goals for myself each day when I was in those really bad places. And I wrote down, today I will brush my teeth. Today I will bathe. Today I will take out the trash. And that's what I did. Every day I wrote little goals for myself. And eventually I didn't have to keep writing them down anymore. Those eventually they became easy. And then what I could do is start replacing those early goals with other ones. So I could work on my resume and, apply to one job today. And I started progressing. And each step that I progressed to made it easier to do the next. And that's what it is, we get so discouraged when some of our traumas occurred in what seems to be in a blink of an eye. Our whole life was changed. And we just want our life to go back to the way it was as quickly as it changed. And it just doesn't work that way. And it's a long process, and our trauma forever changes us. But it'll keep us stuck if we focus on the devastation that was left behind because of our trauma and all the ways that our life has been harmed because of our trauma. We can't do anything about it. So what I encourage you to do is to do things that will get you out of that stuck state, that place where you feel you don't have options. And what I'm asking you to do is just to find ways that you can give yourself choice and feel like you have opportunities for new beginnings going forward. And it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. I know. I was in a very low place for my life for many years. Many years I didn't want to exist anymore. And now I'm in a place where I'm absolutely grateful every single day that I'm alive. And I feel blessed by just all the beauty around me every day. And so, again, the journey won't be easy, but it's worth it. So I wish you well on your journey. Thanks for listening.